Hi, welcome back to Cubs and Culture. I want to first correct something I said about DACA. It actually stands for Delayed Action on Childhood Arrivals, not aliens, so yay, at least the name isn't horrible. It refers to a group of almost 1 million people. The estimates vary. The most number that I've seen is 800,000 people who are undocumented immigrants, but they came here as children, sometimes as young as infants. And they're facing deportation because they don't have documents. Okay, so here's the thing from my perspective on undocumented immigration. The problem's in the first word, not the second word. Okay? Anything you want to say where there's a sort of societal issues about undocumented immigration, there's a really simple way of fixing the problem. You give them fucking documents. And maybe you have to do some scans for criminal behavior or whatever. But really, that's it. Joe, for the record, immigrants, both undocumented and documented, commit crimes at something like 10 times less rate than native-born citizens. So when I say that allowing the other term for this group of people are dreamers to stay and not kill DACA like Trump is trying to do, that it's not even minimally just, it's sort of a minimally decent thing to do, is they didn't have any agency to come here because they were fucking kids. This is the only country they have ever known, and more importantly, undocumented immigration or illegal immigration is not a criminal offense. It's a civil offense. And the thing is, our immigration system, our problems with undocumented immigration are completely caused by our own fucking policies on multiple levels. Anytime you have a richer nation next to a poorer nation, just economically, you're going to have people who want to immigrate. Okay? And in terms of like the economics of immigration, it's self-limiting. People will not move into an area if there are no jobs. So undocumented immigration happens because the amount of documents we hand out don't match the number of jobs available. That's it. Which is why you should increase the number of documents as opposed to trying to round up millions of people to send them back. The other sort of thing is, most of this undocumented immigration comes from Latin American countries. No, not Mexico, actually. Mexican nationals are actually one of the groups which has seen decreases in immigration over the years, over like the last 10 years. But here's the thing. Since the Monroe Doctrine, which I think was in the 1830s, the U.S. government has claimed the North American, the Americas as a special sphere of influence. Basically, it means we were telling the European imperial powers to say the fuck out of our imperial territory. And as opposed to what the actual people in the Americas wanted for their own sort of countries. And there's a lot of infamous examples. There's, of course, the CIA helped install Pinochet down in Chile. We've isolated Cuba. We violently subjugated Puerto Rico during the Spanish-American War. The Mexican-American War was basically a war of aggression where we stole half of Mexico. Our drug war empowers drug cartels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the American foreign policy in multiple different ways has fucked over and screwed over and impoverished Latin American countries. Of course, if you fuck over someone's society, when the society is not working, you have basically if a society is not working in the basic sense, you can meet your basic needs of survival, which for parts of Latin America is true, or you're facing sort of a political repression, i.e., Chile under Pinochet. You have basically three options: fight, die, or move. Most people, oh, well, 4 options: fight, die, cooperate, or move. Though cooperation will often means you end up dying. So, of course, if the U.S. policy destabilizes and fucks over and deprives Latin American countries of, wealth, or like half the land, as in the case of Mexico, of course they're going to have economies which aren't as strong as ours because we stole from them. Which means the pressure to immigrate that is increasing because of the disparity between the two countries is a result of our own fucking choices. Okay? And so so what would be minimally just would be to either allow just grant amnesty is not even really the right word, but grant amnesty to virtually every single undocumented immigrant in this country, and stop fucking around with Latin American countries the way in which U.S. government and U.S. capital has been doing for over 140 years at this point. So when I say the DACA program was minimally decent, is pretty much every single undocumented immigrant should get a document. That these people came here as children without agency. They didn't do anything wrong. So there's no, even the argument about, well, we can't grant amnesty because it might encourage more illegal immigration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're a nation of laws. That doesn't really apply to them because, it's a standard thing in law. They didn't have any agency in the decision to come here. So it's not even just that we need to do it. It's just not being jackasses. Okay, now I want to talk real quickly about sort of a specific argument that I'm not going to say names because the last thing I fucking need is for these people to show up in my comments. But there's sort of an argument on the alt-right about, it's a very racist argument. Of course, a lot of bitching about illegal immigration or immigration in general is code for white racism or white nationalism or white socialism. It's not so, white supremacy. There's this argument on the alt-right where basically the argument amounts to is if you have a multi-ethnic, multicultural society, war is inevitable because, like gravity, you cannot have a heterogeneous population because eventually it will just break apart into homogeneous states. So that human beings are so tribal by nature that if you try to have a multi-ethnic, multiracial society, eventually it will simply break off into racially pure ethno-states. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a completely racist bullshit argument. The thing is, let's just for 30 seconds take it a bit seriously. That by nature, human beings are so tribal that we can't live in any sort of structure that is multiracial, multi-ethnic. If that is in fact true, we are fucked anyway. Because, cosmically speaking, we are all in ecology does not know borders. Because of global warming and peak oil and a whole bunch of other ecological issues, we are functionally in a world where, even though it's not a single society, we are functionally in a situation where we have to have multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-racial cooperation in some sense. And so if it's just true that, like gravity, different ethnic groups will inevitably end up in war, then we're going to end up in war anyway. So this argument about, we can't have immigration into our society because otherwise it leads to war doesn't actually prevent anything, because the assumption under it means, well, instead of fighting, excuse the language, but instead of fighting Mexicans here, we'll be fighting Mexicans in Mexico. What the fuck's the difference? It's such a cynical view of the world. As much as a Hobbesian, I can't, if I believe that to be true, and I don't, I wouldn't, like, what's the fucking point of trying to protect um, Western civilization, i.e., white people, because white people are already a global minority. We're only 16% or something like that, or 20%, maybe 16, whatever. So it's a bullshit argument. And anytime people are like, oh, we got to worry about immigrants assimilating. No, we don't. We have to worry about them being able to cooperate on sort of like a basic level of not attacking people, like fulfilling the basic obligations of citizens. It doesn't fucking matter to me if a Mexican American, an immigrant from Mexico or Panama or a Latin American country becomes an American citizen and continues to speak Spanish in their home or speak Spanish in their neighborhood. What the fuck does that matter to me? There's already people in the world who speak Spanish, okay? Whatever. Fuck. I feel like this is very, very ranty. I apologize if I said anything offensive or not quite completely sensitive on these issues. Hopefully I made myself clear. Okay, Cubs and culture out for the day. Thank you.